Okay, we've been talking about volume. Last week we talked about volume of prisms, and now we are going to talk about volume of pyramids. So we've got our volume formula here. It's 1/3 area of the base times the height. So we've been using area of the base, that's nothing new. But the height in this picture actually shows the height going from the center of the base all the way to the top of the pyramid. Okay, so that's what the height stands for in a pyramid. So you're going to look for your area of your base and your height. Those are the two things that we need. So in this picture, our base is a rectangle. We're going to use length times width. So we're going to take 10 times 11 to get 110. Now our height that goes from the center of the base to the top of the figure is 16. So we're just going to plug this into our formula. 1/3 times the area of the base times the height. And when you plug that in to your calculators, you should get 586.67 inches cubed. Okay, we're going to just kind of skip around on this paper, so make sure you have that written. Okay, so the next one I want to look at, number 3, we still need our area of our base and we still need our height of our pyramid. So number 3, the base is a square. The area formula for a square is side squared. So that's going to be 14 squared, which is 196. Now our height of our figure, remember it goes from the center of the base to the very top of the pyramid. I'm going to draw it in because it isn't given to us. So I'm going to label that H. Okay? Ignore it. Ignore that bell. Okay, so we want this height of this figure. But what we don't have the height. What we have is the slant height here. It's 25. So I want to think three-dimensionally. I want to connect these two so that I create a 90-degree triangle right here. So this little segment that I just drew in should be half of the whole side. It should be 7. So what I just created is a 90-degree triangle. I just created a right triangle where I can find height by using Pythagorean theorem. So you're going to do h squared plus 7 squared equals 25 squared. Okay, we've used Pythagorean theorem a lot lately, so you should be really familiar with how to solve this. You're going to subtract the 7 squared from the 25 squared and then take the square root. So go ahead and do that. Alright, so you should get 24. Okay, so that's my height. And I'm ready to plug in now to find my volume. 1/3 times that 196 times 24. And I should get 1,568 feet cubed. So keep in mind that sometimes you're going to have to use Pythagorean theorem to find your missing pieces, to find your volume. Okay. Let's look at number 4. We still need our area of our base. We still need our height. So if you look at number 4, our base here is a triangle. So I'm using the area formula 1/2 base times height. Okay, so if you look at this triangle, the height is drawn into the center of the triangle. It connects the top of the triangle to the base. So I know my base must be 12. And my height must be 7.5. So if I calculate that, I get 45. So now the height of the pyramid, connecting the center of the base to the very top of the pyramid, is 10. So now you're ready for volume formula. 1/3 times that 45 times 10. And you should get 150 millimeters cubed. So surface area is always squared, volume is always cubed. Okay, let's look at number 6. Okay, so on number 6, I still need my area of my base, and I still need my height. So my base is a triangle. I'm using 1/2 base times height to find my triangle's area. So my triangle, all of the sides are 10, so any side could be the base here. So my 10 is my base, but what I do not have is the height drawn in. I don't have that. So I have to find that by using Pythagorean theorem. What I just created is a right triangle right here, where this side right here is 5, this is 10, and this is what I'm looking for, this height. So to find the height, Pythagorean theorem, h squared plus 5 squared equals 10 squared. So I'm going to subtract the 5 squared and then take the square root. So let's go ahead and do that. Go ahead and do it in your calculator. And you end up with 8.66 for that height. So if I plug that in, 1/2 times 10 times 8.66 is 43.3. And the height of my figure here, the height of my pyramid, is 16. So I can plug that into my volume formula. Okay, so you end up with 230.93 centimeters cubed. Okay, so let's flip it over. Let's look at a few cone problems. So if you flip it over, number 7, it gives us the volume formula for a cone. 1/3 pi r squared times height. So we just have to plug it in. My r is 9, my height is 17. Okay. So if I plug this in, my volume is going to be 1/3 pi times 9 squared times 17. So if I plug it in, type it into my calculator just like that, I get 1,441.99 yards cubed. Make sure you use radius and not diameter though. So I'm going to skip one, I'm going to look at number 9. So if you look at number 9, I need my radius and I need my height. Now my radius is going to be half this diameter. So my radius is going to be 27 divided by 2, which is 13.5. However, I do not know my height. But I know that this piece right here is 13.5. I need to find my height. And what I just created is a right triangle. So Pythagorean theorem. H squared plus 13.5 squared equals 22.5 squared. So I'll give you a minute to solve for Pythagorean theorem there, solve for H using Pythagorean theorem. So if you solve this, subtract and take the square root, you get 18. So plug it in. 1/3 pi times 13.5 squared times 18. And you get 3,435.33 kilometers cubed. Alright, so let's look here. Number 10 says a cone has a volume of 1,309 centimeters cubed. If the height of the cone is 8 centimeters, find its radius. So I need to start with the volume formula for a cone. So that's V equals 1/3 pi r squared height. And then I need to plug in the numbers that fit for the letters. So volume is 1309, height is 8. I don't know my radius. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to multiply 1/3 times pi times 8, and I'm going to leave the r squared. So 1/3 times pi times 8 is going to give me 8.38 r squared. So I'm going to take and I'm going to divide both sides by 8.38 to get rid of it. Okay, if I do that, I'm going to write it up here. I'm going to get 156.21. Okay, so then that equals r squared. That's what I had left over. So now my very last step is to take the square root to get rid of the squared. So if I do that, I end up with 12.5 centimeters. Okay. All right. Let's read through number 11. It says, Caitlin must build a sandcastle in the form of a square pyramid for a project as shown to the left. She bought 3 bags of sand, each containing 1,200 inches cubed of sand. Will she have enough sand to build the castle? So you have to figure out what the volume of this figure is, how much sand she has with those 3 bags, and see if it is enough. I'm going to let you figure that out on your own. I'm going to look at number 12. It should be number 12, but it says it's number 11 again, but it's number 12. It says the cylinder to the left contains 2 congruent hollow cones. So these cones don't have anything in them, they're hollow. It says if the cylinder's height is 20 inches, I'm going to write that in, and its diameter is 14, so that means the radius is 7. Find the volume of the solid. Okay? So first of all, let's find the volume of the whole thing. The whole thing is a cylinder. So I'm going to find the volume of the cylinder first. Okay? That volume of the cylinder is pi times r squared times height. We're going to figure out that first. Pi times 7 squared times 20. That's the whole thing. When I plug that in, I get 3,078.76 inches cubed. That's the volume of the entire figure, but now I need to take out the hollow cones. So I have 2 that are the same size. Okay, they're congruent. So I can take a volume of a cone formula, and I can start by multiplying it by 2 because there's 2 of them. And then that formula is 1/3 pi r squared times height. So I'm going to plug in 2 times 1/3 pi 7 squared times 20. Okay, so plug it in. Start with 2 parenthesis 1/3 pi parenthesis 7 squared parenthesis 20, and then one more parenthesis. Okay, actually I made a mistake here. The height of each cone is actually 10. It's half of it. This should be 10. So this number right here, I apologize, that should be 10. So try plugging that into your calculator again with a 10 instead of a 20. You end up with 1,026.25. Okay, so to find the volume, I've got to take the entire figure and take out the hollow parts. So to find my volume, I have to subtract. And when I subtract, I get 2,020, or I'm sorry, and 52.51 inches cubed. Cannot write today, apparently. I apologize. Okay, so finish up the problems that we didn't get to, and then I want you to start on your homework 8. Make sure that you're quiet and working.